just take whatever. So the fact that you're treating different people differently, based on nothing other than their misfortune, feels to me like that's the role of the ethics committees, to stand in that gap,
Yeah.
to argue for them
Yes.
from a place of not power but like authority
Yeah.
on their behalf.
Yeah.
So like you extend your authority on their behalf to argue for a better negotiation
Yeah.
than they would get if they
were
weren't
to
being
treat
offered
themselves.
anyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Eli.
Wow, it's
Hi, Zubili Ujana Medi. You see, English started in their country. Meat came on a ship. So you say I was struggling with it. But it's just, thank you so much. Thumbs up. Yes, Paul, you wanted to
No, I was just going to say something my grandmother always said to me. You don't make negotiations on an empty stomach. So,
in a nutshell.
yes, and here are people who are always hungry. Already they are compromised. So that's why they are a vulnerable population. So coercion can happen in many different ways. This is a kind of coercion where I have so much resource and I think you don't have it. So it's sometimes can marry the way we think about things. And then there are kids. And then there are their parents who are so worried about their kids.
So that's why in Dawa we eat fast. When we go to pay Dawa, we eat fast. Dawa, you eat fast so that you're not negotiating on an empty stomach.
But in some places you eat after
You have agreed.
after successful
yeah, but that's what you eat before, so that you're not.
Okay, I'm changing topic seriously. If you're going to die, it will be trouble. So, SIOMS says that vulnerable persons, SIOMS is the Council of International Organizations of Medical Sciences. It has a whole bunch of guidelines. And one day, again, we can come and talk about guidelines. But vulnerable persons are those who are relatively or absolutely incapable of protecting their own interests. And that's what Eli said, okay? I really need the help you're giving me. I will not dare say but. I'll just take it. More formally, they have insufficient power, intelligence, education, resources, strength. And for our IDPs, you can tick almost all of these things, right? Of course, maybe apart from intelligence, because intelligence, whether you're hungry or full, you can still be intelligent, okay? So that's a different measure. Or other needed attributes to protect their own interests. So there's lack of decision-making capacity and lack of power. This is what we're talking about in vulnerability. So as an ethics committee, you now have to think for them. That's what Eli has said, and it is true. You have to put yourself in their shoes, Kinywa, and say, because I'm not so hungry, I ate at least some chips and whatever we ate for lunch, I can think and tell myself, no, this deal is too good, or this deal can be better. Yeah. And unfortunately, when it comes to negotiating, we are not so good, unfortunately. Maybe it's because we have fading balls all the time. So research, so now I think I'm not even going to go much more into these slides, because I think my case study has done it. I had just gone into a process of talking about children, but you're going to get these slides, you're going to have an opportunity to read through them. But the principles have essentially come out that when you're vulnerable, you are subject to exploitation, you are subject to coercion, you are subject to a third one which I can't remember, but I will remember, and that is what you're trying to protect. When I started doing this work 20 years ago, and I used to hear that you're protecting people, I used to wonder, from what? I couldn't understand why I should sit down to protect some people, you know? But now I get it. Yeah, now I get it after doing it for very many years, and that's what you're doing as well. There are some populations, they are going to ask those questions anyway, so you might not have to be so concerned. But as you know, in Kenya, Africa, south of the Sahara, many of our populations are vulnerable. So half the time, you're going to be having to ask yourself these questions. Are they being exploited? Are they being coerced or being influenced? And what can we do to make sure that they are not? Okay. So at this point, I'm going to ask Dr. Paul to come up and put on the movie. I've already apologized for the way it looks. So yeah, it's pretty bad in the quality, it's pretty bad, but I've also given you a changamoto that next time I come here, I will show the one tutorial. And it will be very clear and very well done. Maybe it's Lillian and Diana who will have edited it, taken the video. But now here we want to discuss informed consent through this video. We'll be going as we go with the case study, we'll go a bit that we'll stop, then we'll reflect on what we've seen, and then we'll continue.
Is a small coastal village located at about 35 kilometers southeast of Karachi. It has a population of 50,000 people. Their main source of income is fishing. Majority of these people are poor and illiterate. There are no schools or hospitals in the area. There is one qualified doctor and 7 quacks serving the whole village. There are no facilities for medical emergencies, including obstetric care. They have to take patients all the way to Karachi in hired transports in case of emergencies. Close proximity to Karachi and added advantage of rural setting with poverty, disease and lack of healthcare facilities makes it an attractive site for researchers. For the last 5 years, several NGOs and researchers from both community and clinical sciences have carried out different projects in the area. These range from cross-sectional surveys to prospective randomized controlled trials. Currently, there is a prospective trial going on which randomizes low birth weight infants to control arm receiving placebo and study arm receiving micronutrient supplements. Outcome measures include changes in anthropometric parameters and blood indices. This is a study in vulnerable population as its research subjects are infants of poor and illiterate community. We set out to explore how the informed consent was being administered, who was consenting, and how much did the people understand about the study. There are two.
Okay, let's just pause there, and we have the keywords up there. It's almost similar to the other one. Nutrition seems to be a favorite. Yeah. So before we get into the trial itself, what are the keywords now for that area, and does it remind you of anything?
It is so that it's like the place has this one doctor and quacks or something.
Yeah.
Then it says, therefore it makes it an ideal site for research. Is there something like that?
Maybe it's
Yeah.
So this is a documentary. Yeah, it's a documentary. So the guy who's showing is trying to make some kind of point. So what do you feel? Again, we are back to that question. This is a vulnerable population. What do we feel? Should we or should we not do research here?
The thing would be to what end? Are you doing the research to improve the place?
Yes.
Or it just becomes a basket that you know come and do your research and then you go.
Yes.
So what is the impact of all those researches that you are doing?
Yes. So what will the ERC of Chogoria and the researchers in Chogoria do differently from what we've been doing for very many years?
I'm not sure I would do any differently, but I think that when I was thinking about knowledge translation for nutrition intervention, I would say, can I see your business plan to produce a low-cost product? I'm not saying contracts, I'm not saying like, those things are so hard to anticipate, you can't regulate, but can you prove to me you can make this cheaply so that it's affordable? Maybe something like that. Because at least that's within your control,
Yeah.
the ones who are researching and developing the product. If you make an expensive product, how can I expect my vulnerable populations to buy? But if you can show me the business plan with this formula to make a low-cost product, then I can participate in research, something like that.
What I'd like to know is, all these research that are ongoing, how are they benefiting? Why have you chosen this population? Is it because everybody is making money off of them? Everybody is just taking advantage of them, and you have come to do the same? So even before I look at the proposal, I'd like to know a little bit more about this population. What are other people doing there? Why? How is it benefiting them?
Okay. Is there anywhere in Kenya where this happens?
Yes. This
Where?
is seen in so many places.
Okay, give me an example. We want to know.
There's slums in Kenya.
Slums in Kenya.
There's,
for example.
well, I'll start with Kisumu.
Kisumu.
There's Manyatta, Nyalenda,
Yes.
Ogunga. Those are like the largest slums in Kisumu.
Yes.
And then I'll go to Nairobi.
Yes.
There's Mathare, there's Kibra, there's those Mkuru Kwajagas.
Mhm.
I think this is not something that is far-fetched.
Yeah. So this is not far-fetched. And that is why they say informed consent in developing countries. Kenya is not far-fetched. Kibera, if you can count the number of proposals that have been approved to do research in Kibera, you'd be so surprised. And I have a friend of mine, my sister-in-law, who works in the NGO world. She says for them, a field trip is wearing gomas rather than wearing her high heels. So they go, they have decided they have implemented something in Kibera, but it's just a walk through, it's a walk around, and then they go back to their offices. And they still get more and more money to keep going back to that Kibera.
What I wonder is, I don't know how old this video is or when this particular study was done.
Actually, it's about 30 years ago.
30 years. One wonders, are they answering anything new? I mean, if they already imagine or they have some evidence to suggest that these supplements are better than placebo, most likely there's some evidence to that 30 years back. Then you wonder why they're still doing it,
Yes.
especially in a vulnerable population. So
Yes.
that would be my biggest,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I think it goes back to what we had said initially,
Mhm.
just to take on what they